The profile card is it's a half, 8.5 by 11, and it's two-sided. And on the front side, there's a narrative. It's just a short narrative. And then on the back, we've tried to visualize some data, some qualitative data about them and their experience.
We're both sharing stories back with individuals and sense checking it with them. Does it ring true to them? What have we missed? But we'll also share it with people from the city of Edmonton.
We are going to McDonald's on Gateway, and we're going to look for one of our guys there because he hangs out there a lot in the morning.
To find people here, you got to go to where they might be allowed in. You feel like you're hitting the slot machines when you go to McDonald's just to see who happens to be there and who's not on any given day.
We're going to the emergency room at the University of Alberta Hospital because he needs to get his shoulder checked out. The purpose of this data really is not to come to a whole bunch of conclusions and recommendations, but to be generative, to get people thinking about alternatives to what exists. And so we take our first try at that right down here on the bottom. Does that resonate or not?
To change things from the way they are as a collective, yes. That's not what we tried to do in the shelters. But
that resulted in a ban, eh?
These kind of organizations should have a collective body to be able to help them make the correct decisions.
Well, it's super interesting in terms of thinking about designing services because, as you heard him say, he's really interested in the idea of being part of collectives.
What struck us is that you see all kinds of people as your customers, even if people might be living on the streets or homeless.
The customer really cannot come back if you do have that relationship with them, right? Because if you're going to interact with them in a deeper sense, they will know that, okay, this is the motel that I feel like I'm comfortable with, I belong with. You feel like you need to do something special, like a living legacy. That's what I want.
We're always curious about, since you're already so kind to folks, how they might use this as a bit of a launch pad to find other housing rather than going from here to the shelter.
We're going to the youth drop-in because I've just figured out where it is again. And we're looking for a couple of people we spoke to. What strikes you about that one first?
Well, I like how you actually put things that I said. I thought you would change up the way I said it. Because, well, I want to be able to feel safe wherever I am and not be hit on by all the tweaked out methods. It's both environment and something I create for myself. That's so funny. I don't remember saying that.
What if youth who are having relationship troubles with parents could apply to move into temporary housing and get help to work on their relationship with parents and siblings, skipping the shelter altogether?
Like if we went into there, we probably wouldn't have gotten the resources that we had now. I'm glad that I met people here that have like the same issues.
We went down to the chapter's Starbucks with Clara to do a story return, and then she knew I was looking for Dakota, and she saw him, and she was like, oh, there's Dakota, and he was on the other side of the street, and I ran after him, and I was like, Dakota, Dakota! Could you read the ideas on the bottom out, and then say what you think of them?
What if there were scouts on the ground to identify unemployed people's talents and work ethic and help midwife them into jobs that could help them grow and develop? If I could have this job, that would be perfect for me.
You want to be a Labor Scout.
Yes. Or an outreach worker.
What about that job appeals to you?
I'm helping people who desperately need the help, and I know where they're coming from because I'm from the same spot. I can learn the skills and abilities they have and how to go and direct them.
Do you think you're good at recognizing what other people have to offer?
I've been put into leadership roles with almost every job that I've had for some reason. This picture, I'm the wolf, the dove, the light from the past, and my addiction screaming at me from behind the scenes kind of thing. The only reason why I do the bottle picking, the only reason why I still have the addiction is because I have a drug debt. Once that drug debt is taken care of, then I don't have to worry about the drug.
So your drug debt, is it just going down?
Yes.
How do you keep it from going up?
I didn't stop to think about that one.
He wanted to change where he was in terms of stage of change.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I actually had him at contemplating, and he wanted it between planning and action. So I was like, what will your life look like when you pay down your drug debt? And so that seemed like it was actually really the beginning of where he could make behavioral change. And he said he would probably, to be honest, still use the drug sometimes because he really enjoys it.
I don't want to publicize my addiction, but if it helps with services, then I would like to show you guys how I am.
I followed him into the head shop, and he didn't put anything down on his debt that day. He just bought his amount for that day.
How much is he spending a day on
20.
drugs?
And so he aims to put down 10. What's the feeling?
This is a really, really, really good batch.
Can you describe what you felt like a minute before you smoked it?
I know that I was doing pretty good, but I also know that I failed.
How do you mean you failed?
Mm-hmm. Not the worst thing that I could do.
Why?
Drug isn't the worst thing you could do.
There's a whole group of folks that we've met that try really hard to maintain a particular kind of identity. People are performing with us, but that's okay. We're really curious about why people might perform in a certain way because that suggests what matters to them right now. If we're going to design a service or support for them, it better pay attention to those things.
We create the profile card for a workshop to present data back to people, and we wanted them to start using it and sorting it and thinking about how to segment people and getting generative with it. We want to understand how they make sense of their lives and what their aspirations are and what their motivations are and what works for them right now to be able to imagine alternatives. And so all of this data is only as useful as the alternatives that we can bring to life.